All right. Well, welcome back. Today is Monday, January 22nd, 2024, here with Star Smith. And this is session two, week two. We met 2 weeks ago. Whoop, whoop. All right. You're on track here to upgrade your life. And so we're back. You had some homework. You had a
Yeah,
good bit of homework. You have
I
your
did.
journal ready. Um you have hopefully done your homework. You had a number of things, some things to review. I sent you the emotional wheel. Wasn't sure if you were familiar with it or not, but I
I'm
definitely.
not familiar with that. You're definitely gonna have to let me know how that works because I was looking at that. I'm like, okay, am I supposed to print this out or what does she
Well, you
actually
don't
want me
have
to
to print
do
it. You
with
can just
that?
save it on your computer. That's totally up to you. Whether you
Okay,
print it or save it, that's up to you. It's
got
just a
it.
reference. It's just really to review and expand and broaden your emotional intelligence from the standpoint of being able to communicate what you're feeling,
Okay,
being able to identify what you're feeling more
got it.
specifically. You know what I
Got it.
mean?
Okay,
Because the default is anger. People default to anger when they're
absolutely.
embarrassed. All of a sudden they're
Exactly.
angry and lash out. When they are hurt, and
Yes.
sad. It's Anger is a default emotion. And so the reality is a lot of times people are just unfamiliar with the gamut of emotions. And so the emotional wheel is just a support in that way.
Okay.
Okay. So you can just,
Okay.
again, you just review it, look up the words, see kind of, okay, this more, more accurately describes what I'm feeling or whatever. You want to be able to communicate and you want people to be able to acknowledge what you're feeling. But if you're uncertain about
Exactly.
what you're feeling,
Then how am
they
I supposed
can't
to
viably support
compute
you
that?
in what
Yeah.
you're feeling. So that's just for your review. Okay. If
Okay.
you want to print it, that's totally fine. Um,
Okay.
you have kids, so it's a good useful tool as well. So I mean, printing it and putting it on
Exactly.
the refrigerator, it's like, okay, you crying, what's wrong? Like,
Right. Let's figure this
or
out.
whatever.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What are you feeling?
Okay.
To help build them emotionally more intelligent. So that's just for your printing. um then the prayer was just a support. A lot of times we just don't have the correct verbiage,
Got
to
it.
help us, to empower us to accomplish what we want, right?
Makes
So
sense.
that's just
Yes,
something
ma'am.
for your use.
Okay.
Yeah, use it regularly until really become acclimated with that. And again, just
Okay.
kind of, as you grow, your prayer life and language will grow as
Will
well.
grow. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But when we're starting out, it's good to have printed or, preset prayers that we can use while we're building
To
that.
refer back to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So same with that. So but then the one of the more difficult sometimes for people is to start identifying thinking patterns, right?
Okay.
Strongholds. That's what we call them. Stronghold. Stronghold is a mindset. It's a way of thinking that essentially has us bound, you
Mm.
know? And a lot of times we don't know that. But, when we start talking about it, then we can more readily recognize it. So it's like if you've ever bought a new car, you know, once you buy that new car, now you see them on the road everywhere.
Everywhere. Isn't that
Everywhere.
funny?
Right.
That
So
is
what it
so
is
funny.
what happens is now you have a conceptualization of it. So it works the
A
same with
realization.
anything.
Yeah.
Right. Once we bring it into focus, now it'll stand out, you know?
Mm.
So now it's okay, what are these thinking patterns or what are these negative narratives that I have that I wasn't even paying them any attention
Right.
until now.
Until now. Right.
But now that we bring them in focus or we're more sensitive and looking for them, now we can address them
Got it.
because you will not
Yeah.
fix anything that you don't see as broken.
That part.
So you have to acknowledge it first. You have to be like, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was thinking that. Like,
Yeah.
why am I always negative? Why do I always say this? why am I thinking like that? So it's just bringing it into focus, into consciousness, so that now we can address it.
Got it.
So that was, it's really the terminology that I like to use and I use with all my clients is policing your thoughts, right?
Mm.
In movies, you don't see it as much in real time now, but in movies, you used to see police walking the beat, right? They were walking
Yep.
and, it's like, hey, what are you doing? We don't really see that, anymore, but essentially they were monitoring the streets, right?
Yep.
Seeing if things were out of order and out of place.
Got
So
it.
my encouragement is police your thoughts, right? So when you're having thought, you need to be like, hey, wait a minute, where did that's not a God thought. That's not a
Right.
righteous thought. That's not a healthy thought.
Yeah.
So policing your thoughts is essentially like examining more critically and patting down your thoughts to see the origin and the nature that they're carrying, right? Because your thoughts are either, well, there's many sources, right? You have
Yeah.
your own thoughts that come and are generated from within your emotions, within yourself. You have thoughts that the enemy will toss in, right? So if you ever been in your car and somebody cuts
Yeah.
you off and you'll be like, I ought to ram the back of that car. That is not a
Right.
God thought, right? That's a
I
thought.
mean, your thoughts create your reality. If I'm thinking that, I'm eventually going to want to do that. You know what
Well,
I'm
you could,
saying?
yes, it
Or I could
definitely,
possibly do that.
it definitely is
Ooh.
is going to invoke
Yeah,
potential action. So that's why you have
absolutely.
to know the source of the
Got
thought.
it.
And
Got
you
it.
have to recognize that every thought you have is not your thought. Because some people think
Mm,
because they thought it was theirs. No, the enemy will impute thoughts,
got it.
right? So your mind, Joyce Myers has a good book called Battlefield of the Mind,
Mm, okay.
right? Because your mind is a battlefield. That's where the
It's like
enemy.
doing an inventory, like what is going on? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I having these negative thoughts? It's like doing an inventory on your life or doing an inventory for that day, or just even within that little last 10, 15, 20 minutes. Like why all of a sudden I'm jumping to having these thoughts. Like what just happened, Star?
Mhm,
What just happened to make you realize this or to even think these type
mhm,
of thoughts that you're having? So it's like doing a little checking yourself, like a little inventory.
mhm.
That's I
Correct.
love that. That
Yes.
is that is
Correct.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
you want to do that. You want to
Yeah.
practice doing that. And
Okay.
when you acknowledge, because some thoughts are just like, he's just like throwing hit or miss. He's just like
Right.
seeing if something sticks. Then other thoughts are those that are negative narratives that are embedded
Mm.
from emotional traumas.
Negative narratives.
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's like if hypothetically, if your mom always said, you're not going to amount to nothing, you're not going to be nothing, you sorry, right?
That's what you're gonna be.
Then, well, you don't have to be that, but it's like a recording subconsciously playing in your
Mm.
psyche.
Yeah.
It's a negative narrative. So we
Negative
have to
narrative.
rewrite that narrative.
Okay.
Okay. So because it's working against you, even if it is not, again, at your conscious level. So we have to, only you can, only you can, only you can
Got
tell
to
them,
rewrite
right?
those thoughts.
But only you can hear them. You know what I mean? It's kind
Right.
of, you have to be, you have to, again, it's bringing into focus, bringing into consciousness. So now when you hear those things, you know what I mean? Then you are more readily able to check them
Got it.
and be like,
Mm-mm.
that's a lie.
Got
That
it.
that came from the devil.
Got it.
Even when it comes through people,
Yes.
they were just used by the devil
And
because
that
people
that
are
comes
not the
more
devil,
I
but
think for me that comes more frequently with people. For me, it comes more so of having people in my ear and in my face than me just having negative thoughts on my own.
okay.
It's like, because I think for me, it's more so the
Well,
people
then
that
you
I
got to filter
surround
your crowd.
myself in.
Okay,
That part.
you got to filter your crowd. Then I mean, then
Yes.
that's totally in your control.
Mm-hmm.
You know. because I mean, old folks used to say, well, birds of a feather flock together.
Flock together, right.
You know what I mean? So even if you know that's not where you at, then you have to change that crowd. And
Got
then
it.
you have to also ask, why am I attached to these people? Why am I attracted to these people? What is
Yeah,
the commonality that I have with them that maybe I need to let go of, that's no longer
right.
serving me because I got
Mhm.
goals? But yeah, that was me 10 years ago, or that was me 5 years ago. And that
Right.
familiarity and that comfort zone have kept me still attracting people and rolling with people that's like that. And that ain't me no more,
And that ain't me no more. Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So
No,
you've
I
got
get it.
to, you know what I mean? Again, that you are the only one that can determine that.
Right.
What are the commonalities? Maybe it's, I mean, like we can have habits or things that, that we do, like I have, now, like, so for me, and I'll just share this, and I do this in helping people to see the transformation in my life, right?
Okay.
So in my younger years, like I smoked a lot of weed, okay?
Okay.
A lot of weed. Okay. So now today, and for many, many years, I haven't smoked weed, but the enemy will still try to, like sometimes, I mean, like I can be riding in my car. And I know, like here in Arizona, there are
Mhm.
dispensaries, a lot of places. So you could
Everywhere.
ride through
Yeah.
certain areas and smell it. But like I could just
Oh
like
yeah.
totally be like nowhere near any, and all of a sudden, like that smell will come,
Yeah.
like in my
Yeah.
nose. It's not even like in the air, nobody smell it. But the enemy will try to tempt us with things or try to bring
Mm,
us into remembrance
right.
so that there's an appeal or attraction to something old
Mm,
or familiar, right? So I
right.
mean, again, I'm a long way gone from that. I ain't smoking no weed. That don't bother me. It doesn't tempt me at all.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, there are things that we can have where it may would have in times past, I may would have hung with people that smoke weed because I smoked weed.
Right.
You see what
Right.
I'm saying? I don't smoke
Yeah.
weed. I ain't hanging with
I
folks who
don't need
smoke
to
weed.
hang with people that do
I
it.
don't want
Right.
it in my clothes. I don't want it around me.
Right.
I don't want it in my nose. I don't want a contact high. I don't want none of it. So
Yeah.
again, but it's having a firm determination of where I've been, where I don't want to be anymore. And then
Right.
what does that look like in creating, a new circle of people,
A new space. Yeah. A new space.
a
Yeah.
new space,
Absolutely.
and it's okay
Absolutely.
to acknowledge that we can love people that just live low.
You can choose to love them from a distance,
But
you
we can choose
know?
to love them from a distance. Right answer,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because
That's my thing.
love does not mean I have to be with you every day,
No,
or that I have to be
absolutely
with you,
not.
honestly at all. I mean,
That part.
when your kids grow up, you send them off to college and they not with you every day, but your love does not stop or change for
Yeah,
them.
that love's not gonna change.
Right.
So,
So real
yeah,
love doesn't change. So, you just have to acknowledge, you know what? I love them. I wish the best for them. You can pray for them if that's what you feel unction to do,
yeah,
what God is leading you to do, but you have to lead them along and just, you just
absolutely.
disassociate. You just fall off, fall back,
Pretty much.
be
That's
busy.
how it is.
you
Yeah,
know, you're just busy.
uh,
And they be like,
that's it.
oh, you different. Yeah, I kind of am. There's
Well, I
nothing wrong.
kind of am. I
There's
mean, I
nothing
am
wrong with
different.
acknowledging I kind of am. I'm just
Yeah,
focused. And it's okay to say, I'm just focused right now. I got some goals and I'm focused. And if they're really, true friends, then they'll respect that.
yeah.
And instead of being angry with you, they'll be watching you for
From a
inspiration and
distance.
encouragement for their own
Well,
goals.
you hope so, right?
You
You
hope,
would
but I
hope
mean, it
they
could go
want
either
to.
way. It could go
I
either way,
know.
though.
I
Sometimes
know.
people don't know how to accept that. And sometimes people can take that as a real wake up call for where they're not. And that's hard to look at sometimes.
Yeah, that's hard to look at themselves.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Absolutely. I
saying. Yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
yeah, you're right about that because it's so funny that you even say that because it was like, I just really want to congratulate myself because I heard something from someone about something someone said to me that was like a ball face lie. Like it was so out of this world to where I was like, oh my gosh, are you really going around telling this lie on me? That I am on drugs, that I am homeless, that I stole from her. This was my own sibling who's going around telling people this.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I told that person, I said, if that's what you want to believe it. Every last bit of it is true. And it took so much out of me to not to send her the most nastiest message. And right before I was getting ready to do it, I said, Star, what is that gonna gain? I said, if you're gonna sit here and argue with a fool, you know what that makes you? A fool too.
There you go.
And I just left it alone. But the fact that I am my character is being tarnished, my name is being tarnished for something that's a bald-faced lie, a blatant lie, because yeah, I am different. Yeah, I am better than you because I am reaching my higher self and my higher potential. But for you just to be sitting out here just lying about me, what are you gaining from that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand what you're gaining from that, but at the end of the day, I told that person, I said, you know what? I'm gonna pray for my sister. And I said, I'm gonna pray for you too, to be honest with you. I said, but if you want to believe that, I said, you can believe whatever you want to believe, because I don't have to prove myself to you and I don't have to prove myself to her. But when I tell you, it took so much out of me not to send her a nasty, evil message. And I swear, right before I typed that first letter, I said, Star, don't do that. I said, because that's what she wants you to do. You giving her the fuel and the power
Mm-hmm.
that she needs to do that.
Mm-hmm.
She wants you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's her way of reaching out to you. And I just left it alone.
Mm-hmm.
I just closed my phone and I just left it alone. And I just was like, I don't know. I just kind of laughed about it. Like, wow,
Well,
wow,
applaud
that
yourself.
was
Applaud
crazy.
yourself for not expending your energy on that. Because again, I'm going to say it again. People are not the devil, but the devil uses people.
Oh my God.
And
Like
so
you would
you
not
have to
believe.
know that. You have to keep always remember that, because people will do things that in your mind and in common sense is like, that doesn't even make any sense. Why would they
That
do
part.
that? Because it's not them. You have to know
Yeah.
that it's not them. It is the enemy who works through insecurities
Mm.
and unhealed wounds.
Yes.
So Satan works through insecurities and
Mm-hmm.
unhealed wounds. So when
Mm-hmm.
people have trauma, when they have emotional wounds, they're broken. Think of it
Yes.
like an abandoned house that is open and vulnerable for all kind
Right.
of pests and things to come in,
Mm.
right? So it's not them, you know,
Yeah.
and it's not like, it's not them. Just know it's not them. And they just need prayer. And, again, it doesn't mean that you don't have to distance yourself or, avoid certain encounters, but you do need to be in a more mature place to acknowledge, you know
Exactly.
what, the enemy working through them, because he
Yeah.
can't work through, and he's not even looking to work through anybody who's not close to you,
Got it.
because then it
Yeah.
won't have any effect.
Exactly.
See, Jesus'
Exactly.
betrayer was in his 12.
Mm. Yeah.
He can't even touch you unless he gets in somebody that's close enough to affect you.
Yeah. You're
So he
right.
has to do that.
He
So
has to.
he doesn't have new tricks. We just have to be knowledgeable. The Bible tells us to be not ignorant to his devices.
Mm.
So we just
Right.
need to know. When we know, we're like, okay, I see you. I see how you
I
understand.
see. Yeah.
But I ain't even
Yeah.
gonna do that. Lord, I pray for my
Nope.
sister right now. I just
Yeah.
cover her in the blood of Jesus. Lord, I pray that
Mm-hmm.
you heal her. See, that could
Absolutely.
close up those, heal her heart, heal her emotions, help
Yeah.
her to live a better life. Rescue her like you've rescued me. See,
Yeah.
you use that to open up your compassion, to open up your prayer for people.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't understand when people do that. And it's like you're only harming yourself and those around you
Mm-hmm.
because you're allowing the devil to come in and use you that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's not even that serious, honey. You don't even have to, it's just not that serious, you know? And it's like I said, I really applaud myself because I said, I'm not even finna do that. That's not gonna get me nowhere. And then I'll be sitting up here arguing with her back and forth for the next
Right.
4 or 5 hours behind some
Accomplishing
BS,
nothing.
accomplishing nothing. And that's
The
exactly what I told
distraction.
him. I said, the distraction. And he's sitting back laughing at me. He
Exactly.
looking right at me, laughing at Jesus. Like, I told you I could get her.
Right.
Got her. I said,
Right.
I'm not even gonna do that.
Good for
Nah,
you.
I'm good.
Good
I'm
for
gonna
you.
go to bed.
Good for you. You passed that test.
Yes, I did. And
Good
I
for
was
you.
so excited that I did because I'm telling you that it really took a lot of out of me to not do that. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Well, you'll grow and you'll grow
Mm,
to a place where it don't even affect you.
yeah.
Don't even
Where
bother
I
you.
don't even
It's your
have
life.
that thought of even wanting to try to
Mhm.
counteract or say something back or try to even, you
Mhm.
know, verbally try to say something to somebody. I'm not gonna go
Correct.
there with you.
Correct.
That's only stopping my and blocking my blessing, honey. I'm not
Right.
doing that for you, not for the benefit of you. No,
Right. Right.
no.
Good, good. Okay. So then you got your Bible, right?
I did it.
Okay. So you started on page 25. Did you read step
25. Yeah, I did read step 1. So you gotta tell me how to do this
1? I'm
though.
gonna tell you how.
Perfect. Let me
We're
get
gonna
my
go over
little
that right now.
highlighter. I read step 1.
So step 1, no-win situations, right?
No win situations. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you'll notice, let me do this. So if you'll notice at the bottom of the step, of course, it tells you where to turn next.
Is that page 325? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, it says turn to page
Okay, turn
325,
next.
Judge 16. So that's what it's going to do. Each time you do one,
Okay.
it's going to
Okay.
direct you where to go next. So if you see at the
Got it.
top of this page, it says step 1, it has the big circle 1 and it says 12-step
Mhm.
devotional. So
Mhm.
we're working in the 12-step devotional. You start at step 1 and we're going to go through. Each step
Okay.
has multiple reading assignments.
Okay.
So step 1, if you turn to page 325 right now, you'll see it also says step 1.
Got it.
You see?
Okay.
So each step has multiple, and then it tells you where to turn next.
Got it. Okay.
But the goal is not to read through a whole step in 1 week necessarily. We're
Okay.
meeting every other week. So maybe you will get through a whole step because we're
Okay.
meeting every week. So you might get through a whole step. But the key is to read that segment, and then you want to ask yourself several questions, right? You want to ask yourself, okay, how does that apply to me? What do I take away?
Got it.
What can I see in this? Where can
Mm.
I see where there was issue or where there's lesson? You know what I mean?
Okay.
And how can I see how this applies to me? Right?
Okay.
So in this step, of course, it says we admitted that we were powerless over our problems, that our lives had become unmanageable. Sometimes we are powerless because of our station in life. We may be in a situation where other people have power over us. We may feel that we are trapped by the demands of others and that there's no way to please them all. It's a double bind. To please one is to disappoint another. Sometimes when we feel stuck and frustrated with our relationships, we look for a measure of control by escaping through our addictive behaviors. And remember, addictive behaviors can be any number of things.
Anything. Yeah.
We could be stressed out, be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and get me a piece of cake. Let me
Yep.
go get some ice cream. It
Mm-hmm.
could be it could be anything. It could be
Yeah.
drinking. It could be smoking. It can be,
Yeah.
like I say, eating
Sex.
sugar.
Anything. Yeah.
It could be sexing. It can be
Yeah.
any number of things.
Mm-hmm.
Hagar is a picture of powerlessness. She had no rights. As a girl, she was a servant to Sarah and Abram, right? When they were upset because Sarah could not bear children, Hagar was given to Abram as a surrogate. When she did become pregnant, as they had wanted, Sarah was so jealous that she beat Hagar, and Hagar ran away. All alone out in the wilderness, she was met by an angel who gave her an amazing message. Return to your mistress and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. And the angel also said, you are now pregnant and will give birth to a son. You are to name him Ishmael, which means God hears, for the Lord has heard your cry of distress. When we are caught in no-win situations, it's tempting to run away through our addictive or compulsive escape hatches. At times like these, God is there, and he is listening to our woes. We need to learn to express our pain to God instead of just trying to escape it. He hears our cries and is willing to give us hope for the future. So in this read, again, you want to ask yourself, where have I been in my life where I have just felt so powerless?
Right.
What even, maybe, again, depending on where you are now, maybe there's areas in your life where you really feel powerless right now, and what does that look like? And how have I tried to manage that? And am I really relying on God, or have I been using compulsive or addictive behaviors to manage through that? So each time when you read the step, that is the goal for you to do self-examination.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then to write again, writing in your journal, right? This is, I want you to be writing. If there's questions or things you don't understand, sometimes a person will read it and they'll not really understand, or they'll really not see how it could potentially relate to them, and then we discuss it and then they gain revelation. And I can help them sometimes navigate and see where they don't see themselves, or see how they have been managing that. So again, you read it, you ask yourself some questions, and if you feel clear, then you go on to the next
one. Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense.
So that's the expectation, that you'll read it, you'll ask yourself some questions, you'll see what you gain, and then you'll go on to, again, for that case, you would go to 325 and you would do the same thing with the next one.
Got it. Okay.
Ideally, again, you can get through all of step one, but don't cross into like the next step until we have had a discussion.
Got it. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. So you read this one? I mean, I know
did.
I just read it. So what did you get? What did you take away? Or what did you think, like, okay, this is this, but what did you get away? What was the takeaway for you, if anything?
I think sometimes we feel powerless because of our situations in life. I think that right there is a big thing for me, because I've always had a relationship with the Creator, but it has never been to this extent as it is now. So, my thing is that being able to just fully give myself to him is for me, right? It still is like, I don't want to say it's a big, it is a big deal to me, because I've never been in this type of position before where I completely just stepped out on faith and been solely only relying on him. And it's like, even when we talked about this last week, I am so fearful of disappointing him. That is my biggest fear. I don't want to disappoint him. I don't want to go back to that person that I was. That's why I'm fighting so hard to be who he has created me to be. Right. And so it feels powerless, but it's like a great power at the same time. It's like I'm letting that person go and totally transforming into somebody else. So I guess I'm still stuck in that little part right there, where the transformation is ending, but a new one is beginning. And I think that's what that's sometimes, like I said, even though that thing happened with my sister, I was so proud that I didn't say anything to her. That was a really big deal for me.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like a light bulb had went off, because I'm not allowing myself to continue to convert to who I used to be. So just releasing that, it's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot for me. And like I said, I'm just trying to get acclimated. I'm trying to get in the in the groove of things, to where I don't have these triggers, where I don't allow people to give me these triggers. And sometimes I do feel like I am a little hard on myself, and I have to let that go. Like, Star, you're doing good. You are in a good place. You are not once where you was, but you're not quite where you need to be, but you are good. Be thankful that you are not where you were.
Right.
And I think I don't live in that moment. Like, I just, sometimes I forget about that moment. I forget about that I'm not where I was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm so, and we talked about this too, where feel like I'm just such in a rush to get to where he needs to be, where he wants me to be, and I need to be humble,
be patient, and be present. Be patient, and be present. Those are your words. I want you to write those down. Focus on those. Be patient and be present.
Yes.
Right? Be patient and be present. Be patient and be present with yourself, so that you can take in the process.
Yes.
Right? You can take in the process and not rush past. Too often people rush past the process, and then they get to a benchmark place, and then they don't have recollection of what was needed to really be gained, because they just kind of passed through. They didn't really get the lessons. They just made it out. You know what I mean? It's like, so you don't want to just make it out. You want to get all that God has for you in the process. And you want to, one of the things I would encourage you in is that in this process, you are unveiling you. You're not becoming something you aren't. You're unveiling the real you that God made you as. See, because God made you equipped fully with everything you needed for your life and destiny. Right? What you're doing is unveiling it, and you're shedding things that you've picked up and that you've acclimated to, like clothing that really didn't belong to you.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Because culture, socialization, our family experiences, all those things can mold and shape us, right? And affect what already was, what already God has there. You know what I mean?
What I already am.
You
I'm
already
already
are.
this.
You're
I just gotta open that door.
right.
You
Yes.
know?
You're just walking into that. You're
Yeah.
shedding off the old, blinders are coming off your eyes. Mindsets are being shed that were not serving you and were not tied to or serving your purpose. You see? Because the Bible says that he has already given you everything that pertains to life and godliness. You see, so he's already given it to you, but often again, it's the unveiling of it. It's like even when, let's say, for instance, you have a gray hair. I mean, you may not, but I do. Right?
I do. I found 3 of them, girl.
You know what I'm saying?
On top of my head.
Key thing, Star, you found them. They were there.
They were.
You just didn't know they were there.
The things just came out of nowhere. I said, wait a minute. This was not here yesterday, or was it?
Right? See? You're discovering things about yourself that you didn't know were there. It's the same thing. You're discovering parts of yourself that you just didn't know that they were there, and that was something that was yours. That was a part of who you are.
The whole time.
The whole time. Right? You didn't just become this girl that was strong, this girl that could speak out. You didn't just become her,
Right.
right? It was there. Was it
Mm.
maybe muddled or harbored by some certain presences and certain experiences? Yes. Have
Yeah.
things beat you down and made you like a turtle go into a shell? You
Yes.
see? But
Mhm.
it was always there.
Mm.
It's who God made you,
Yes.
right? And we in the Bible, of course, we learn that the name denotes the nature.
Mm.
And I believe that wholeheartedly, that the name denotes the nature. How is your name Star and you weren't designed and destined to shine bright?
Right. It's in the name.
It's in the name.
It's in the name.
It's in the name. You see? So,
It's
it's in
in
the
the
name.
name,
I
yeah.
tell people all the time. I was talking to a lady on the airplane, more divine.
See, you in the planes, boy.
This weekend I was flying and God had me change my seat. Was so God ministered to the
All the
lady with
time.
a blessing. And she said, "You're so passionate." I said, "My name means passion.
Mm.
One of the meanings of my name is passion.
Yeah.
I am very passionate.
Right.
Can't not be. It's like,
Mm.
why? Because it's part of me. It's who I
It's in
am.
the name. Yeah.
It's in the name,
It's in the name. I love that.
So,
I
this
love
is
that.
all, so it's a good journey. So that's also why you don't want to
Okay.
rush,
Right.
because you don't want to miss the
I don't want to
beauty
miss nothing.
of the unveiling of who you are.
Mm.
Learning all the intricate parts of yourself that you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Not that they didn't exist, but that
Yeah.
you just were unaware.
Right.
You see? So, okay. So
Like
you read
I
that.
gotta
Um,
trust the process, not
you
rush
gotta
the
trust the process.
process. Yeah.
You gotta trust the
Yeah.
process. Okay. So I want you to continue.
Okay.
It's kind of an ongoing homework to continue to police your thoughts. I want you
Okay.
to determine when you identify negative narratives or thought
Mm-hmm.
processes that you can acknowledge, wait a minute, you know what, I was told that since I was little, but that
Right.
is not a good thing. Or you know what I mean?
Right.
When you see those things that kind of will begin to stand out, that are areas that you've been affected by and impacted by.
Right. Right.
So I want you to continue to police your thoughts. So it
Okay.
won't be an exact part of your homework for this coming week, but it is something that is ongoing, that is kind of just an
Ongoing.
expectation that I want you to
Got
do.
it.
Be
Okay.
sensitive to that. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
then also, you had some music therapy, right?
I
So I you
did.
huh?
I no, I said I did. I that link you sent me, right?
Yes, I sent you a link.
Yes.
So the music therapy is, I use that as a tool. Music is so powerful. One,
Yes, it
it
is.
is the language of the earth. It is
Yeah.
a language that speaks to us all. But it is not entertainment. The music that I use, you may enjoy it, but you may
Mm.
not. Sometimes the
Okay.
purpose of the music therapy is to, one, again, impute thoughts,
Right.
provide verbiage also. Because a lot of times we're saying things or singing things that are not serving our purpose and where we're
Right.
trying to go. And
Right.
so the music therapy is also a way to create verbiage so that you begin to say what God says and what God sees in you,
Got it.
right? So
Mm.
so this first music that I gave, again, it's a prophetic song. It's like,
It is.
it's like this is God speaking to you.
Mm.
So there's one part where, of course, the psalmist is singing. Then there's the ad lib, which is like God. He's pretending to be like God, imputing
Okay.
ideas. So tell me what you gained, what you heard, what you felt, what you thought about it.
Um, you know what? I felt really good when I was listening to that song. Like it was, I don't know if I could describe it, but I felt like it just made me feel good. Like
Okay.
like it just kind of,
So
I don't even know how
empowering
to
to some
it was
sort,
very
empowering.
empowering and it just was like a very vibrating feeling that I got just listening to that song, you know, and I had my headphones on and I was listening to the words and I'm like, this is a good song. Like even the music and the melody and it really made me feel good. It really
Okay.
made me feel good. Like it was like really feel good music. Like I've
Okay.
never, you know, like it was, and it's like I don't even know if I can really describe it, but it really did make me like feel good. Like I could see if I was in like upset, you know, having some emotions going on, and I could really feel like if I listened to that song, like it would really make me feel better.
It will
Like
shift
it
you.
just really, yeah, it shifted. There we go. It shifted me, and it really put me like in a really good mood. It was just a really feel good song, and it was just weird the feeling that I was getting when listening to it. I'm like, this is a like so it's why it's like making me feel good. Like it just really made me feel good. I was laying in
Yeah.
bed and I was listening to it and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's
yeah, I like
medicinal for
this.
sure.
Miss
It's
Medicinal.
medicinal.
Yes,
I sometimes I use that verbiage with clients, I'm like, here's your prescription for this week, with
right.
the music therapy because it is
Okay.
therapy. It
Yes.
in and of itself will serve therapeutically in your life.
Mm,
The Bible says that he will give us songs of deliverance.
yeah,
So literally music does have the power to deliver us or lift us out of in bondage
it
situation,
does. It does.
right? So we know that, even in other musics that we listen to,
Mm-hmm.
music can again shift your mood. It can upgrade your energy, your spirit,
It
and such
does.
like that. So it is very prescriptive, and
Mm-hmm.
again, with
I like
everything
it.
that I give, it's very intentional. It's very intentional as God begins to also make himself known to the person in
Mm-hmm.
ways,
Yes.
where he begins to reveal himself to the person in new ways and make known to them, his personhood. Because a lot
Yeah.
of times people don't, right? They know him like, okay, he's God, like he's just this big, great, at a distance, powerful, right? All of those things are true, but they don't know him as, let's say, father, or maybe like
Right.
really as husband, or even as this intimate father, like caring,
Mm-hmm.
very concerned, very intimate. Or people don't know him as, right, the God who is really sovereign, meaning that he can do what he wants, um,
Yeah. That's
but
the
just
scary part.
again, learning different facets, right?
Yeah.
Of who he is, and that he has feelings too, and that he has,
Yeah.
he's sensitive. We don't just have feelings when he gave them to us. He has feelings,
Exactly.
right? Because he made us
Exactly.
in his likeness and image.
And his
And
likeness
so
and
he has
image. Yeah.
feelings. And the Bible in many, many places talks about his feelings. He
Absolutely.
says in the Old Testament, he's a jealous God.
He's a very jealous guy.
He's a very jealous God,
Absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
he's not secretive about how he feels. Most
Right.
people just don't take time to get to know him in that way because they don't relate to him as one who feels.
Mm, right.
They're not
I
sensitive
think
to
so. So many people are just they're takers, 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 takers,
that part too.
without really giving anything back to him.
So
You know,
true.
you're taking so much, you want this out of him, and you want him to do this, and you want, well, what are you doing for him?
Correct.
I mean, I really believe that. I mean, I know for me, my relationship with the creator is a 50-50 relationship. And I've always looked at it like that. I mean, recently, I've always looked at it like that. If I'm asking him to do something for me, what am I giving in return? What are you going to give me? You
Hmm.
want me to do something for you, but what are you going to do for me?
Hmm.
It's just, I mean, that's how I look at our
Hmm.
relationship that we have as a 50-50 thing. If I want something done, I have to go out here and I have to do the footwork. I have to do what I say I'm going to do in order for him to be able to line me up in line and put me in alignment to what I want done. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think a lot of people understand that they just consistently call on him when they want something or when they need
Mm-hmm.
something. But it's like, well, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing to try to
Right.
get yourself out of this situation? Because
Exactly.
I can't do nothing if we're not in alignment. If
Mm-hmm.
you're not in alignment with the
Mm-hmm.
creator, then what you're asking for is not going to get done.
Right. Well, and that's why I, always present that to people like, okay,
Yeah.
so if you was in this situation and somebody came up to you and they just asked you, what would be your response? So then why
Right.
do you feel like you can just walk up on God? You don't give him your time. You don't show him no love, no affection, nothing like that. And he just supposed to be like, oh, I got you.
Right, right. I got you, boo. But it's like,
Right.
but when it comes to the flesh, people are such people pleasers. Like they trying to do everything they can to please this person and do this and do
Right.
that. You know what I'm saying? But when that don't work out, who you calling on God when that
Right.
don't work
Why
out,
he gotta
right?
be the last
You
man on the list?
you worried about the wrong thing, honey.
Fact.
You worried about
Exactly. So that's good that you have that. I
Yeah.
want to upgrade you though in your
Okay.
relationship being 100%, 100%,
Mm, okay.
not 50,
Okay.
50,
Mm,
100%, 100%, because he gives
okay.
all. And
Yes.
he and the expectation is and desire the same way in a real natural relationship. You should
Yeah.
not want no 50, 50.
Got it.
So upgrade that. You want
Okay.
100%. You want somebody, if they say and they vested, that they're going to put all
Give me
in.
100 to that.
Because
Okay.
you're going to put all in, even though you're
Right.
saying 50. You're going to put
Okay.
all
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's 100%,
Awesome.
right? You're
Okay.
all the way in, and he's all the
All
way
the
in.
way. Yes.
100%, 100%. All good
Okay.
relationships are that way.
Okay.
100%, 100%. Now,
Okay.
in realistic, terms, yes, sometimes our capability is
Mm.
that in measures we can say, because really, if you're vested even on your bad day.
Right.
But the way people like to talk about relationships is like,
Right.
oh, well, sometimes, you might be going through and your mate pick up slack. So
Right.
sometimes it's 60-40.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
it's 70-30. You know what I
Right.
mean? But that really is not true, because really, if you're vested, if you're 100% in, even when you're down, you're 100% in.
Right.
You just might can't do certain things.
Yeah.
So the other person, according to the scripture, the Bible says two is better than one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because two make heat. If
Yeah.
you cold and you
Hello.
by yourself, you just shivering and trying to have fun.
Right.
But if there's two, there's heat, meaning there is
That's heat.
exchange, right?
Got it.
That's what that means. There
Okay.
is exchange. And we just gotta, like I said, the world says a lot of things, but we just have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that really in covenant, it's 100%,
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
We're both, there's full vestment,
Okay.
right? So much so that the Bible says in marriage that two become one. It's so
Mm-hmm.
intertwined that there's not a separation. There's
Got
not
it.
these distinctions
Mm.
that we, talk about.
Okay.
Because if I'm hurting, you hurting. If you hurting, I'm
Right.
hurting. I mean, you know what I mean? Because
Right.
why? Because we're tied together.
Mm.
So we're experiencing it the same. We're not experiencing it like, oh, well, that's on your 50% of the
Sorry, you're
side.
hurting over there. Yeah, right.
I don't feel none of that. That's not my
Right.
percent side. That's not
Right.
even real, right?
Right. I hope it's not. Goodness gracious. I won't want to be in something like that.
Right. Right. So we understand that. Um,
Yes.
okay, so we got the worship,
Mhm.
music therapy. Then what else do we have? I think that was all of your homework. Did you have any questions or anything that you wrote down that you wanted to discuss or that you had questions about um, in your first week of dealing with some of those things? Or anything, even in
Oh,
listening back, because hopefully you listen back. You should listen back. That's kind of a
okay.
standard. Every week you
Okay.
get the
I'll do that.
recording and you should listen back, because we only hear and retain a percentage of what was said.
Okay.
So very often when you listen back, you'll hear things that maybe in the moment, in the excitement, you didn't necessarily hear it.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
I
so
didn't
that's
listen
kind of a
to my
standard. I
recording.
didn't put it in this week's, but I'll
I'll
generally
make sure to
put
do
that.
that.
That's like a standard. Listening back is a standard. That's like homework number one. You should listen back.
Okay.
You know.
Got it. I mean, no, I really didn't have any, I read the scriptures and, um, the prayer wheel. I guess I got to get a little bit more familiar with that. I think I'm gonna print it out. I'm a more of a
Oh,
like
the
a,
emotional wheel.
yeah, the emotional wheel. I'm a more touchy person. Like I think
Yeah,
that would be
yeah,
cute to
tactile.
put
That's
up in my
okay.
house.
Print it out.
Okay.
You know, I think, like I
Okay.
said, I think it's a good thing to have. And like I
Okay.
said, I definitely think it's a good discussion point with your children, even,
Got it.
that you all, that you're, of course, again, it's just good when we upgrade our children, when we're upgrading too, and just say, hey,
Yeah.
you know what, you know, let's
This
practice
is
saying different words and identifying our feelings more readily.
got it. Got it. Okay.
But yeah, print it out and just familiarize yourself with it. And because again, if somebody does something, like I said, we be mad. That's
Yeah,
our
we be
first,
on
we
them.
default to anger.
Yeah.
Anger is our default emotion,
Yeah.
and it
No, it
shouldn't be. We
is.
should be able to mature in our emotions where we can identify, well, you know what, really, that I'm embarrassed,
Yeah.
or really, you know what, I'm hurt,
Yeah.
because it really makes
Yeah.
me feel like they don't care, or you know
Yeah.
what I mean, instead of just mad. Because I mean, we all know how people go mad, but really they hurt.
Yeah. Those two things definitely go hand in hand.
You know,
Absolutely.
so it's
In
like,
order to decipher, but you got to decipher that.
yeah, you need to be able to decipher through that, and you need to be able to be, again, emotionally mature and
yes.
vulnerable enough to say, because in healthy relationships, you should be able to say that really
Mhm.
hurts me,
Yeah. Absolutely.
and not just be like, you know what, and
Right.
you ready to
Woo.
go ham
Yeah.
because you're hurt,
Because you're hurting
instead
instead
of
of,
expressing that you're
you're
hurt,
right.
which
Vocalizing that.
in
Yep.
turn could very well produce a different response from that person.
A different outcome. Yeah. Absolutely.
But when we
Absolutely.
default to anger, it spirals in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rather than when we have the correct and proper verbiage and we can express viably what we really are feeling, and then
Right.
we can address those feelings.
Yep. Yep.
And a lot of times there can be clarification of what was maybe said or done that wrongfully made you feel that way.
Right. Yeah. No, I like
So
that.
again, that's just, all of that is very important in upgrading, the emotional intelligence. And that alone makes for so much better relationships. All
Yeah,
of
that's standard communication practice, I
it.
believe in. That's just
Yeah,
standard
oh, of
because
course. I mean, it
hurt
definitely goes
people
hand
hurt
in hand with
people.
communication.
Yeah,
Mhm.
hurt people at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, I just, like I said, I'm just really proud of myself that I am being able to start recognizing when I am being attacked by the devil.
Hmm.
That is my biggest thing right there, where I can really sit down and, like you said, police my feelings and really be like, okay, this is you trying to be funny now, okay? I can like see the attack in the process, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
and it's like that was the whole thing with my sister. And it was like, and I feel like every time that I'm really on a verge of a breakthrough,
Hmm.
here comes the attack,
Hmm.
right? And it's like and my thing is I'm really starting to like being able to like acknowledge it before it even happens, because
Hmm.
it's like if I get involved in some BS, it's because I allowed that to happen.
Hmm.
I allowed that energy, that negative energy, I allowed the devil to come in, and I allowed that to happen. I said, because, and I when I was talking to God on Sunday, and I said, you know what? Because I know for a fact that if it comes from you, it's only going to be love. It's going to be pure. It's going to be easy, because I know now that that's,
I wouldn't include easy as one of those
well,
words.
not easy, but it's not going to be hard, you know? I mean, I don't think that he go. I don't know if he will. I don't feel like he. I gotta keep suffering. Like I don't think he's gonna bring me something that's gonna continue to make me suffer. You know, I really feel like the devil will bring, like, don't be
Okay,
bringing all this negative energy into
just
me.
keep walking with me. I'm gonna teach you
Right.
because
Okay.
there are things that you give your children that are hard. It has
Yeah, but
it
for
has nothing to do
instance.
with trying to harm them.
Right.
It's trying to grow them.
Okay,
There's
I
a
can see
whole
that too.
school. There's a whole school of suffering. It's a curriculum
Mm,
with God. So
okay.
I don't want you to be, have false expectation or misunderstanding.
Mhm.
Suffering is a curriculum in God's word.
Okay.
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 And it teaches us things. And so, but it's perception on and knowledge about how he operates that will help you navigate through difficulty with a better
Okay.
heart, better mind, better attitude, and more equipped to actually pass
Pass through it. Okay.
pass through
Okay.
it in a way that doesn't take you out. And it doesn't, you know what I mean?
Mm,
And
okay.
when you understand, because you have enough familiarity with the Bible. I'm sure you done familiar with Job,
Right.
right? But God allowed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He suffered. He lost family. He lost stuff. He
Yeah.
suffered, right? But he was replenished with more than what he lost.
Mm,
But God strengthened him that he acknowledged that now he realized, you know what, I don't care what comes, I'll never curse God.
got
See,
it.
he came to a place of resolution, but his position had to be tested.
Got it. Okay.
Any good relationship, and I'm going to tell you this, any good relationship must have pressures
Mm,
because it has to test the validity and the strength of the relationship.
got it.
You talk to somebody that's been married 50 years and they gonna tell you, baby, we done been through some things.
Right.
That's what strengthened and fortified the relationship.
Mm,
You look at and study how a star shines. It's because it's
mhm,
highly pressurized and filled with gases. You look at
mm,
how a diamond is formed under massive pressure. You look at how gold is purified so that it glimmers like we like it. It goes
mhm,
through the fire. A pearl, it's an agitation in a clam or oyster, whichever one is made in. There's
mhm.
everything that is great is pressurized.
Okay.
You're not different. I'm not different. So
Right.
when we can't think, we're not going to have stress. We're not going to have pressures. It's how we navigate through it.
So we navigate through it. Okay.
Right. It's
Okay.
being equipped. Right. Listen, how do you win the race? You run. Right.
Right.
There has to be, there's execution that is not easy. You
Mm,
ask somebody that just won a boxing round or a basketball game or anything, they underwent stress and pressure
and pressure.
and
Yeah.
struggle. They had to build up stamina. It wasn't
Mm.
easy. It wasn't easy. Easy is not a word that goes in there. That's why I was like, no, not easy.
Okay. Well, I guess me acknowledging that something is coming. I think I'm at the point, I mean, not at the point, but I know I'm in beginning stages, but I think I'm being able to start to really realize where something is getting ready to come,
Okay.
right? And then I can start like equipping myself with whatever I need to do in order to get through this situation. So that's where I'm kind of like, because like I said, something happened and I was just kind of like, I was just doing an inventory on it and I'm just like, this don't really feel right. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
don't really know how to perceive this. And if something, my thing is with me, if something doesn't feel right, I'm gonna go down the list. I'm gonna just go
Mhm.
down the list. I'm gonna reevaluate
Mhm.
everything, and I'm gonna weigh my outcomes, and I'm gonna think about it before I actually do it. So I think that's kind of where I'm at right now
Mhm.
with the relationship that I have with God. Like you said, I'm not gonna say easy, but I think I'm starting to kind of realize when something's getting ready to get started.
Mhm.
And then my thought is, okay, how we gonna handle this?
That's all. And that's really all you
Okay,
need to be. You just need to be
okay,
like, okay, Lord, what we doing with this? What you want
okay,
me to get out of this? How
okay,
you want me to roll? How you want me to
okay,
respond? What you want me to do? You know what I mean?
okay,
Right? I
okay,
just came out of a divorce. I don't know if you knew that or not. But I
okay,
just literally the paper just signed, the paper just dried, if I could say that, December
okay,
like the 17th, 18th, whatever. It was like days before I went on my vacation.
okay,
It became official and final. But we've been
okay.
2 years I've been separated, right?
Wow.
You know what I mean? And when God told me to leave, because he told me to leave, right?
Mm,
Nobody gets married to get divorced, right? Now there was
right.
reason to leave, but you know what I mean? But I am my whole life is led by him, Star.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, okay, you told me to marry this man. So what we doing?
So
You know
now
what I mean?
we, so now I got to leave.
So now you saying leave? Okay, so I mean, like, and I mean,
Like,
it was again, I needed to leave. I'm not saying I
yeah.
didn't, but I'm like,
Okay.
okay, what are we doing? So it
Right.
wasn't easy. That's not easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But God said leave, and then He said call this person. I called a person, and I was telling them that I was asking them if they because I knew a friend of mine, her aunt used to have a house that she lived in part of the year, and she lives in New York part of the year. And I called her because I said, God, where am I going? What am I doing?
Right.
Like
What
I
am I
wasn't
doing?
even
What's
working.
the
I was still doing
plan?
my business, but I wasn't
Yeah.
working a job where I could go just down the street and get an apartment on my income,
Right.
or something like that. I'm like, what we doing? He said, you call this person. I called them. I said, hey, does your aunt still have the house? Da 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 da. I said, you know what? I said, I'm needing to separate from my husband. Da 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 da. They said, no, my aunt doesn't actually. She sold the house. She said, but my mom's condo has been empty for 2 years. She said, I know my mom will let you go in there. I walked right into that with no money. You know what I mean? And the mom said, you could just pay my mortgage, just $710. When rents was off the chain
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Still
when
off
it
the
first
chain.
went
Yeah.
crazy ballistic with rents, God walked me into. He said, do this. He said, do. So now, again, he will make ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yes, things can work
Mm-hmm.
favorably for you. But
Right.
overall, I still would not use the terminology easy. You know what
Right.
I mean? So he'll
Yeah.
help you walk it out because he's God and he's with
Yeah.
you and he
Yeah.
won't leave you,
Right.
or forsake you. He'll be with you always. He will be your strength. He will be your comforter. He will be your
Mm-hmm.
guide. But it doesn't mean that the circumstances look good.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that they feel good.
Right.
So we can't, and we don't, as believers, we do not live. I'll tell anybody, everybody that listens, you cannot live on your feelings because your
Right.
feelings, even according to scripture, will
Yeah.
change
Drastically. Yeah.
from day to day, moment to moment. If you're
Mm-hmm.
living and your feelings are a governing force in your life, you will constantly make shipwreck.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not how we live. We live by faith. The Bible says the just shall live by faith. So we live by faith. So our faith is in God and in his plans for us and in his processes for us.
Okay.
Right? So now, yeah, I done came through a whole lot of stuff, but there was a whole lot of stuff that he also wanted to birth out of me that birthed out of the
Right.
process.
Got it.
So the process, just like the process of a diamond or gold or anything, is
Mm-hmm.
pressurized, is difficult, but what's going to come out is going to be amazing.
Right.
You see.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
so we just walk with him. So I'll tell anybody, listen, I love my life. Is
Right.
my life easy? Nope. You know what I mean? Do I have challenges? I sure do. My mom,
Yeah.
she's funny.
As
My mom
everybody
is
does.
hilarious. Okay. She's never saying, I don't want to be you.
You wouldn't want to. You
I don't
couldn't
want to be
handle it
you. She said,
probably.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it.
You couldn't handle it
But
probably.
guess what? I do it because I was made for this.
Right.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
What you need is in there. And to
Yeah.
other people, it may look a certain way. I was telling the lady that I was talking to on the plane.
Yeah.
told her, I said, I said, people will be amazed by what you do,
By what
but
you
to
do. Yeah.
you, you're just being you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's
At the
all
end
it
of the
can
day,
be. Yeah.
I'm just me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I don't attest to be great. You know what I mean? God says he'll make your name great. That's his word. He says that. But I recognize that my greatness is in him and that he made me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like we ooh and we are over plants, or I love flowers. I love fresh.
Right.
Like I'll be
Me
like, oh,
too.
they're so beautiful. We ooh and we are over them. But you know what? It's just like, but he just made them. They didn't do anything to make themselves look.
Right.
They didn't do anything to become like that except for just be what
Just
God made
being
them to
there.
be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's all
Yeah.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
may be great. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yes, there's greatness inside of me, but
Yeah.
it's there because he made it there. He put
He
it
made
there.
it. He put
You
it
know what
there.
I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just living it out. I'm just not fighting him. I'm
Right.
not fighting him. I'm gonna be what he said.
Yeah.
So when we're
All
challenged
day.
or when we're still in our process, most
Mm.
often we're fighting him. We don't know that we're fighting him. That's why I say
Yeah.
you are who he said. It's unveiling as you
Yeah.
surrender and submit
Mm-hmm.
to be and be
Mm-hmm.
revealed to the world in the way that he has foreordained.
Absolutely.
So but
Absolutely.
we walk it out,
All day.
so he's good,
All the time.
all the time.
All the time.
So I will send, as always, your homework in
Okay.
a few days.
Sounds
You know
good.
that you always can, again, because you're on step one, you know already where you can start reading because you're going to the
Okay.
next step. So that you
Yes.
can always start with. Um,
Okay.
and like I said, I'll send you the recording and then the
Okay.
homework as well. But any questions before we close?
No,
I do
no,
need
that was
to.
great.
Okay. All right. Listen, you're on a
That's
good
what's
path and
up.
I'm proud of you. And I'm
Thank
very
you.
proud of how you are tied to and committed to this thing called upgrading with God.
Oh yeah,
That's good. You
absolutely.
like, I listen.
I'm 10 toes down in this.
I love it.
Like,
I love, your
I'm
tenacity
excited.
and your drive. So
Thank
I
you.
am ministering on February 2nd.
Okay. Get this
I will send
calendar. You
you,
know me
I
and
will
this
text you the
calendar.
flyer, February
Okay.
2nd. There is a
That's the third.
registration is free,
Okay.
but there is registration because I
Is
think
it
they're serving lunch on Saturday. Huh?
is it a virtual thing or is
No,
it
it's
in
in person
person?
here in Phoenix.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
No, it's
Yes.
here in Phoenix. So yeah, it's Friday. It's the first. It's actually the
First
second
Saturday.
through the fourth. So
Oh, okay. So it's a
it's a
whole
3-day
weekend.
event, but I'm
Okay.
ministering personally on Saturday and I'm ministering
Okay.
to singles. So they
Okay.
have
Oh
some
yeah.
breakout sessions and workshops, whatever like that. So I know I'm
Okay.
ministering on Saturday, but I know it's going to be a good event. And I know you do have to register, even though it's free. Because like I said, I think they're serving lunch on Saturday, I think. But
Okay.
it is local.
Yeah, definitely
Okay.
send me the
So I'm going to
Eventbrite
share it with
or
you. So
okay.
yeah, if you
I'll
can
definitely
plan to
sign
come,
up.
you can share it with people. Uh,
Okay.
okay.
Absolutely.
All right. I got to run. Have a good
All
night.
right. You too. Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.